I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin, and in this video I will share with you my number one learning of this year. What did I learn? We have been through quite a journey. I about 4, 5, 6x my portfolio this year relative to the NFTs and the cryptocurrency coins as well. What is my favorite strategy right now? What did I learn and what were the mistakes? I want to do a quick recap as I feel like this is one of the most boring topics, but also one of the most important ones. So anybody who watches this video throughout, you will learn a tremendous amount from my mistakes, hopefully. Nothing in this video is financial advice, it's for entertainment purposes only. We're going to have a look at what I've done and what I will do moving forward. So initially my focus has been my initial goal was to reach a $100,000 portfolio, right? I did reach that quite close last year, where it was about $98,000, and then it crashed down all the way to about 32,000. Fortunately, right now it's a lot more than 100,000, so that has been achieved, right? So this was achieved couple of months ago, I think 2 months ago, and since then, when I focused a lot more on the crypto as well, when I was thinking about creating this YouTube channel, the momentum has been increased. So one of the major things that I changed was my education, right? Time, focus. So these three components, where basically the foundation is discipline, which I learned from managing half a dozen other businesses that I own, is very important. I saw a great potential in this cryptocurrency market, specifically around the July period. And I believe if we look at the Bitcoin chart, July was also, let me see, year to date, a good entry point, right? So it was about in the middle of July that I was putting more focus, and that was basically when the chart moved up, where I basically switched my focus, not on the entry point here, but more around here, right? So it did go down a little bit first, but primarily what I did was I started educating myself. I didn't know how the blockchain worked, so I had investments for I entered cryptocurrency in 2017. Really just buying some coins, holding them, swapping them out sometimes. The same thing I tried to do to reach this 100K goal, but it never really happened because there were fluctuations and I didn't know why these fluctuations were happening. One thing is one of my primary business skills is realizing patterns, seeing patterns in the market, right? My primary business is advertising. So I consult on advertising in all kinds of different forms. And one of the major things in advertising is patterns, audience behavior patterns, right? How audiences behave in certain way to the market and how that leads to conversions online, right? Selling products. So what changed is basically I focused a lot more on the education side of things. I joined communities. I didn't have Telegram, I didn't have Discord, and I didn't have Twitter. Right, those were three social medias that basically the cryptocurrency space is obviously highly involved in, and I didn't use any of those. So that was something definitely getting used to. Now, the major change I did was participating in IDOs, right? So my main focus was IDOs, and this is only 3 months ago, right? So basically, I already reached my second goal as well for this year. So now I have basically no goal. I will see where it takes me because the cash flow is growing quite rapidly. And we're not talking millions, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking huge amounts, but it's well over 100K at this point, which was my initial goal. My second goal, if you can see the pattern, then there are some steps there. So IDOs were my main focus. Why? Because I used to do ICOs in 2017. So this is 2021 and this is 2017. So these were initial coin offerings. I did like coins like Swissborg at the time. That's probably the only one that I could find that is still alive to this day, Swissborg. But I did dozens of ICOs. Right, and at that time they were really messy. So this one has been around for a long time. See, this is early 2018 that it went live. It didn't do things for years until it started moving. Do I know where these coins are, which I have, which would have given me a tremendous return? No, I lost those coins over the last 4 years. I don't know which wallet they're in. I don't have access to it anymore. So that obviously was a good lesson there. However, I did have experience with the ICOs. So the IDOs, they made sense to me, right? I knew how the vesting worked, or at least tried to understand it and understood it quite quickly. That was the main focus. So that's obviously what you see on this YouTube channel. Primarily, it's IDOs, initial DAC offerings. Now, also what I learned is inside that space, well, let me not jump too far ahead, right? Because I recently also added NFTs to, and this is one of the major lessons, right? NFTs are great, right? But I need something which I noticed that my portfolio was getting out of balance. So my portfolio consists of different portfolios. So we have main, which is basically trading, right? Then we have hold. Then we have active vesting. Then we have non-active vesting. And then we have NFTs, like this. So these are the portfolios I hold. Currently, so the current percentages are, I think, 30%, 30%, 20%, 5%, 15%. No, that's not correct. So it would be like, this one is higher. Yeah, 10%, something like this. And my ideal scenario would be more like this. 40, 30, well, maybe 20 here, 20 here. So it's 50, 70, 80, and then 20. Yeah, so this is probably more so. I didn't think this through just yet, but I think this is more of an ideal structure, right? Where currently it's quite heavy on the non-active vesting and the NFTs. So non-active vesting means projects that already have invested in, but they haven't reached the token generation event yet. So basically private sales, seed rounds, strategic rounds, or just IDOs that still have to be vested. Right? Active vesting means the TGE has happened, the listing has happened, and we're just waiting for more tokens. Hold are the tokens that I hold long term, which are not to be traded. And main trading is just the money I play with whenever I feel like it, which is not even that often. Usually it's one trade a week, one trade every 2 weeks. So ideally, I would be a lot more heavy on the holding, because I feel like, which I will give an example with Soul Chicks in a second, I feel like that the holding is usually a lot more beneficial than the trading. Why? Because I'm not a good trader. That's just the honest answer. One thing I want to stress is about the NFTs, right? One thing that I learned is that NFTs are non-liquid cash, right? And if we look at liquid cash, a liquid asset is a reference to cash on hand or an asset that can be readily converted to cash. In my opinion, an NFT is not this. I am very much focused in my business, obviously, to have liquid cash at my disposal as much as possible, because we are advertisers, right? One thing that I realized is that if we're heavy into the NFTs, and this percentage was 50% up until one point, you have a lot of non-liquid cash. So if you need cash, these NFTs are not easy to convert to cash. Even if you would put it on the bid floor, right? Let me take an example from my portfolio. Let me open up Neo Tokyo, Outer Identities, right? So the bid floor a day or two ago was 6.6 Ethereum. Right now the bid floor is down to 5.6 Ethereum, yet people are listing it and they're not selling, right? Why not? Because they're not one-on-one convertible to cash unless you have active bids on your NFTs. What does this mean is that as soon as you might need cash for whatever opportunity and or reason in the current market, you might not be able to one-on-one exchange for cash. Usually it takes a while. So when I say it takes a while, let me just open one. So this one recently got sold. This one got listed 10 days ago, then got transferred, and then an hour ago got sold. I would like to see one that recently got listed for sale. Okay, so there was some transfers here. But let's even say that from the transfer, so that happened 2 hours ago, so the transfer here, so this one could have been up for 9 days before it got sold, right? I can't really see. Normally I see the listings here as well, but it says no listing. Whether you like it or not, these NFTs are not quick to sell. So if you're lucky, specifically if you're trying to sell on the bid floor, right, so undercutting the competition, you might be able to sell quicker, but it also means that you're probably selling for less than what it's worth. Even if you're trying to get rid of the NFTs, selling them under the bid floor, they might not sell for 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 days. Who knows? Because the demand is measured in real time. Therefore, they're non-liquid cash. That is one of the problems if you need cash. So that made me decide or learn my lesson, because I did need cash and I couldn't sell these NFTs. So I had to sell some at a significant loss, which is part of the game, right? So it made me realize that I need to scale down my NFTs. So if you're interested in what kind of NFTs that I have, where are the NFTs? Here. So currently I have an in-poker NFT, which is worth 1 BNB, which I cannot sell because the in-poker marketplace is not live. I have 2 AnyPad NFTs, which I'm not selling because they give me additional allocations on the AnyPad platform. I have 36 Sin City blueprints, which I'm not selling until they're revealed. So you can see it's quite heavy on the investment, or at least the worth. So they were about $350 each. Last time I purchased them on average. The Soul Chicks I cannot sell because they are required for the active vesting of the sale that I participated in. Then I have Awakened Multipasses, which I also have many for. And then I have the Neo Tokyo S2, which I'm not going to sell, right? So that is quite important. So Neo Tokyo S2 was basically one of my goals to get into Neo Tokyo. As soon as the S2 Season 2 Outer Citizens occurred, I did invest money into this. So I bought this for just over 5 Ethereum. It's now worth, I got an uncommon, so the bid floor you're seeing here doesn't apply to me because these are comments. It's about 8.8 Ethereum at the moment, so a good gain there, but I'm not going to sell this. So this will be my long-term hold. And probably I will hold this also for until it happens. This one is basically non-liquid cash because I would want to sell them, but I can't because of the vesting. These ones I'm going to dump according to my new strategy, which means need to get rid of the NFTs. And all the other ones that I had, like Sidus, Cypher, Gold Miners, I had a whole bunch of NFTs. I all got rid of them because I need liquid cash according to my new strategy, which you will hear about later in this video. So what I'm sitting on right now is still quite a bunch of money, right? 5 BNB, 153 Solana, almost 10 Ethereum, and 23,000. So in USD value, that would add up to probably about 100K, maybe a little bit less than 100K, maybe 80K, 90K, which is still a considerable amount of money for such little NFTs. But I'm basically just looking to hold Sin City, and I'm looking to hold Neo Tokyo, yes. And I'm also looking to buy, actually, I'm trying to get rid of NFTs, but I'm also looking to buy the Sin City Genesis Pass. Just one. So basically when I offload my last Awakened Multipasses and the avatars that go along with it, I basically cleaned up my entire portfolio. And my reward will be 1 Sin City Genesis Pass. Why specifically? The specific reason, because I also hold a lot of blueprints and I think the game is great. I will wait until the next minting when there's additional 200 being minted. There will be 2 more runs because last time that happened the price dumped to like 2 Ethereum. So I'll be ready when that occurs and then pick one up for about 2 Ethereum or less. I check this twice a day, the bid floor, to make sure I'm on time, right? One thing I can show you as well is the Soul Chicks chart. so the pricing chart, which I got in at 3 Solana, right? So I'm still very much profitable on my SolChicks, but not as profitable as I was here. So right now I have about a 2x return, and at some point I had like a 7 to 8x return. However, they changed the rules a little bit, which means that you cannot sell during active vesting. So I will have to hold these NFTs until March 2022, 13th of March 2022. At that stage, probably I will not even sell them. I will use them to rent out, right? As I've been holding them at that point for such a long time. So this is basically then what we're looking at. Sin City, Neo Tokyo, and I have a whole separate video on why I wanted to join Neo Tokyo, just to get into the circle of influence of people that, and I did do that, right? So I did make some powerful connections already with some individuals in my Neo Tokyo guild that I'm a part of, which is great, right? So for the analysis, that is basically the primary reason that I'm not holding on to too many NFTs. I rather have maybe 2 or 3 high value NFTs, where we're looking at Mutant Ape Yacht Club, not like Bored Ape Yacht Club level, not that much, but like maybe 6 Ethereum would be a good price. I have 1, 2, or 3 of those, rather than a whole variety of NFTs that might do something, might not do something. One NFT series that I did look into not too long ago, actually, because I did have a whitelist opportunity for that, but I didn't take it, was My Pet Hooligan, which I think I could mint for 0.1. So some of them are going like 1 Ethereum, 0.45. So the hype is basically coming to life. And I think this project will do quite well, because there's like a good hyped momentum around it. Really, really nice. But I don't want to gamble with these NFTs, because I've also done some projects that turned out to be quite shit. And I rather invest my money, in my opinion, in the things that I'm good at. And NFTs, especially if they have no utility, I don't see that much of a potential yet, except long term, right? Which is very important. So most of these NFTs on this list, they are amazing, they are great, they have a utility, but the utility is long term focused, and that's not something that I'm particularly interested in right now, because I'm looking to expand my portfolio in terms of growth, right? Grow my portfolio beyond maybe even towards $1 million, right? That might be the end goal for end of next year. In order for that to happen, I might hold these NFTs long term, but I also need cash to participate in what I want to do, which is the IDOs, which is my favorite thing, right? So that's what I'm focusing on. So I will move this one up, SolChicks, for a second. So basically, my main focus is IDOs, private sales, strategic sales, seed rounds, right? So the only difference here is price, investing, right? Price, highest, vesting, lowest. Price, normal. Well, let me say the IDO price is usually listing price, right? So price, normal, vesting, lowest. Private sale, lower, vesting, longer. Strategic round, even lower, even longer, the vesting. Seed round, longest, or lowest. Right, so the price discrepancy is huge, but the vesting is also very different. So for example, you could have like 25% TGE plus 3 months, which means like 25% per month. Private might be 10% plus 10 months. Strategic might be 5% plus like 19 months. And then seed might be 5% plus 36 months, right? The pricing that goes along with that might be like 4 cents here. So let me fill that in. So 0.04, 0.035, 0.025, 0.01, right? Like this. So yes, on the seed round you have a tremendous gain, but the vesting is also really long, right? So you're in it for the long term. So this is what I'm currently focused on, specifically the private sales. It's primarily what I'm currently doing. And I'm also tapping into more of the strategic sales and seed rounds through influence partners that I reached. Primarily because of YouTube, I make good videos, people like my videos, and people reach out to me all the time if I want to participate in their seed rounds. Most of these groups are quite scammy, but I found 2 groups that I'm really happy with. I talk with them a lot on Telegram and Discord, and so far the projects, I don't want to say have done well because they haven't even launched yet. That's also one con of these 3. You need to wait until the IDO, which always happens, right? So if you are in the seed rounds, then you know there are 3 more rounds before it goes live. So even if you invest into the seed round, it might be like 4 to 6 months before the IDO happens, right? So I've done a couple of private sales before I started my YouTube channel, and they still haven't done IDO, right? So that's something to consider. Yes, the vesting is longer, the price is lower, but also the time to launch, because they need to complete all these rounds before they can list usually, unless they don't do, for example, the bottom rounds, they only do the top rounds, but IDO is always the last stage before the TGE, right? So that's something to consider. One of the main things that I think was very beneficial for me, at least for the focus and the effort that I did this year, was Solchix, right? So Solchix, even though as of this moment it hasn't done that well compared to the expectations, I had a $30,000 allocation because I was holding 15 NFTs, right? So one wallet was 20,000, the other one was 10,000, and I did buy another 10,000 worth of tokens when it was cheap. So I'm holding about 40K, a little bit less, of Solchix, right? So this movement of Solchix will have major influence on the growth of my portfolio. It's already quite low, so I'm not going to expect it to reduce my portfolio. However, I do know that one of my primary focus for this is split across 2 sections, basically. I'll pull up CoinMarketCap for this one. So basically, one thing that I want to have in my hold portfolio is any relevant. So it will not be Bitcoin, and it will also not be Ethereum, because their growth is, I think, important, but it doesn't interest me that much personally. I like Solana, Terra Luna, AVAX, Polkadot, Polygon. So these 5 coins would be part of my hold portfolio as the more bigger growth components. I would also consider IoTex, which I recently discovered, which is more at the bottom. Where's IoTex? Right here. So I would also consider adding IoTex to that. The other part of the hold portfolio is gaming, right? Which is my, basically from the IDOs and private sales, all I do is games, right? I don't necessarily game Metaverse. I don't really necessarily do anything else than that, right? So master nodes is also something that I'm considering investigating, but I don't have that much time, to be fair, lately. So I'm trying to focus on and double down on what I'm good at instead of trying to pick up all the opportunities. And that's also one thing that is important. There are so many opportunities in the current market, and you can't do everything, right? I know a lot of people just want to take up every opportunity, but that's most likely how you'll lose. And we're here to win. So to my hold portfolio, I want to add more Mana, Sand, Gala, Wax, Ultra, let me see, UFO, what else we have? Vulcan, of course, Mines, Star Atlas, Veracity, D-Race, and what else we'll do? Splinter, Shots. Those are the tokens I've researched so far. There are a lot more tokens, but I just haven't researched those, so I'm not gonna call them out. Okay, so yeah, that's probably it for the gaming. There are some more coins which I might not have included, like Altura. I would also add, just because I like the project. Yeah. Superfarm, right? So that's quite a big distribution across the tokens. So when I say hold specifically 40%, right? It's many different tokens. It's not centered around like a core. The other two are layer 2 protocols. So layer 2 protocols for Ethereum. Which is basically like immutable X, those kind of things, right? What the fuck? Okay, so immutable X is not on the list, but if we go to the top 100, it should be there. Or is immutable X layer 3? I don't know. I haven't researched that either. I just went on immutable X and I thought it was quite cool. It had a lot of potential, but it's still really, really early. Was it kicked out of the top 100? It appears so. Yeah, immutable X 103. So it did take quite a significant drop from like $9 to $4. However, I think platforms like this, which basically you deposit Ethereum, yeah, it's a layer 2 protocol. So basically you deposit Ethereum on immutable X and then it reduces the gas fees after the initial deposit, which I think is great. Has tremendous opportunity until Ethereum obviously fixes its gas problems, and then these platforms might not be as useful anymore, but I would invest in them because I think the Ethereum problems on scale in the short medium term will be considerable problems to overcome, right? But heavily focused on the gaming. Then the active vesting, the vesting will also be gaming, right? Because this is basically all tied to these rounds. And then my main trading will be whatever is trending and whatever I have my eye on at that moment, right? So SolChicks at the moment is still quite the influence on my portfolio. So you can imagine if SolChicks goes up by 1 cent, which it has done today, later today, there will be a major announcement. So it has gone through quite the rally, which means that even just today, right, going from like 16 cents, 3 cents up already made like a $15,000 change in my portfolio. So it's quite significant, and I hope that it will reach further highs. I'll be holding on to this for quite a long term. So I'm not. I do have some selling strategies on that, but there are separate videos on my channel. I will not discuss that right now. But that is very important. Meanwhile, I'm very much focused on the core, right? Specialize in one thing. That's also what I tell all my consulting clients on advertising. There's so many advertising platforms. There's so many different choices. You know, you got social media, search, display, all kinds of different advertising formats. Focus on one thing. Master rather one thing than many things. And I think for the content on this channel as well, the NFTs are cool and the NFTs are hyped. It's just not something I'm truly that interested in yet before I master the whole IDO stuff. So one thing that I think is really cool is actually showing the expansion of the time and focus is that I had a problem with my Excel sheet. So I have my coins here and my holdings listed here in terms of, you know, vesting. So I keep track of all the projects, when the vesting, the claim, the airdrop, but I own a software company, right? So I was like, man, this fucking sucks. Let me create like a vesting tracker, which is like basically going to integrate with your wallet. You type in your vesting and it shows you when to claim, where to claim, the PooCoin chart, all the statistics. And I'm just using it myself. It's still under development. I think it's quite cool. Maybe I'll share some updates on that later, but it just shows my active involvement into growing out my IDO plans, because the vesting tracker is basically solely for IDOs, right? Things I'm interested in is like preparing for you, specifically like IDO reports, where we actually review those reports. Obviously I can't do that for free. I need to ask for some form of compensation, but like basically a white paper review based on the white paper of the project. So the IDO price out of 10, the team I rated out of 10, and why, with specific explanations. I think that would be extremely cool. That would be something that I would appreciate if somebody could make that I feel has some insights there. And what the fuck do I really know? Probably nothing, right? But you guys keep watching my videos, so I hope you appreciate my insights. What else? that's basically it. I feel like I'm learning many new things on a daily basis, which is like the best thing for somebody who already has a decent amount of money, who already has a decent amount of companies, who already has a decent amount of freedom, right? I can spend my time how I wish, and I choose to spend it about 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day on learning cryptocurrency, right? That's not the money making process. It's just holding the coins is having a benefit for me right now. The long-term focus is just to accumulate wealth, obviously, but I'm very much focused more on the learning, how things work, why they work this way, how do these IDOs work, how do I get into seed rounds, how do I get into strategic sales, what's the difference between those things, why do I see the same companies, the same venture capitals every single time, how do I join those, can I join those? There are many different questions that I still have, and it all just requires one thing: time. One thing I see a lot of people mention is that we're extremely early. We're extremely early. Um, and I do think we're extremely early. So that's something good to note. If you look at the all-time chart of Bitcoin going from 2013 to right now, I think reaching an all-time high basically like a month and a half ago. I do think we are extremely early with the opportunity that is at hand. What we have present at the moment. 90% of the circulating supply is active, 10% would be mined over the next 100 years, probably fully diluted over $1 trillion. Market cap 922 billion. It's crazy, but this is just the beginning. When we look at GameFi Metaverse, something I'm personally a fan of, the opportunities will be there. So I'm researching right now with the focus on knowing more than 99% of the population currently about cryptocurrency, NFTs, anything related to that. If I could have a short-term benefit, because I have businesses, I don't have the money pressure, I don't need to make money with this. Yes, it would be nice because it's rewarding, but it's not my main concern in the short term. The short term would be 1 to 3 years of investment of time to get knowledge will pay itself in money after that period. And that's something I truly believe. People are too impatient currently, specifically with IDOs. We expect everything to do like a super big moonshot, super big 10x, 100x, which I don't think is quite realistic, right? I think the most important thing, the biggest takeaway from this video should be make mistakes, and those mistakes cost time and money and will be frustrating, but they will allow you, if you make those mistakes, to have tremendous benefit in the long term, right? That's what we should focus on, the long term. We all want to have $1 million right now, but 99% of you will not be able to tell me how to spend it if you have it, right? And you might spend it on, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. A Lamborghini doesn't cost $1 million, right? Probably 200,000. So what is the other 800,000 for? I'm going to buy a house. What kind of house do you want? Well, I didn't think about it yet. Well, that's what I thought, right? So focus on liquid cash, in my opinion, because that's what I need for my goals, which is the IDOs, right? Why? Because I think developing another software project would be really cool, and that's what I'm doing. And that might be something that I could potentially sell later on or do a side project with. I think that would be quite cool. Focus on the correct ratio of the portfolio. So this is what it's currently at. I'm transferring it to look like this. This will take time, probably another 2 to 3 months, depending on how the market moves, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to get done, right? Which is very important. So this is basically, for my little rant, everything I wanted to tell you today, the updates, the lessons learned. Focus, invest time and effort, and don't expect any rewards. I think most of these NFTs don't have utility and will be worthless in the bear market. And the ones that survive, in my opinion, NFTs are a little bit more of a risk, more of a long-term play, right? So I'm not saying they're crap, I'm saying they're great for the long term. I'm more currently focused on the medium short term, specifically, because although I want to participate in seed rounds, my focus is still on IDOs primarily, because that's what I like, right? I like the continuous hype, I like the listings, I like to learn more about these projects, I like to make content, right? All these things add up for me. I hope you learned something from this video. Be patient, don't expect miracles in the short term, because that's not why we're here. We are very early. First time I've said it. There's a big opportunity out there if you are consistent with your education in the market and its current conditions. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or you might like to see a part 2 of or an update video in the near future, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.